Good afternoon, everyone. Anthony Violi from AV Weather. Time for a weather update. Just looking at the current situation at the moment, I've got the radar screen at the moment up of the current rain event that's over Victoria. You can see we've had rain pretty much all day today in central Victoria. There's been some really good falls actually, 72 millimetres roughly out at Nil in western Victoria, which was overnight mostly, and this morning. The low itself is now somewhere in this area here. It's a bit hard to tell on radar because we've got a radar hole here where the radar doesn't quite pick up the rainfall very well, which we need another radar to be positioned out here somewhere, but that's another story for another day. So the low's in here somewhere, and you can see that the rain is just spiralling around it. Now if we go back to the national radar loop, you can see much more clearly how much rain is actually being dragged in from the tropics, with the trough line all the way through inland Queensland, which comes all the way down through Sydney and then spirals its way back through Melbourne and then up to Adelaide and then back around. You can sort of see from here the lows in here somewhere in northwest Victoria, probably around Swan Hill region. Now that's going to evolve further tonight and strengthen. It's in the process of strengthening at the moment. We're actually in the outer bands here in Victoria at the moment, which is this part here with all the rainfall in it. That's probably going to dive to our south tonight as this low starts to position itself down here somewhere. So it's going to drag all this rain down, sort of in Bass Strait a little bit. But the snapshot is also, as it does move towards this region here in Gippsland, as you can see on the western side of the low, the rain actually comes up from the south. So what we're expecting tonight is the rain to position itself through Bass Strait and then to be slung up sort of in this sort of motion, the same that this is doing over here near Adelaide at the moment, up from the south, and giving us really good rainfall on the coast. Again, I'm expecting about 40 millimetres for Melbourne, maybe a little bit more if we get lucky, but I'm not too sure how that's going to go at the moment. But there's really some heavy rain moving into central Victoria at the moment, but I think we might get most of our rain tomorrow morning in the southerly stream, southeasterly stream. So I think 40 mils for Melbourne will be a good get. Probably 50 to 100 millimetres through the northeast. There's a lot more rain to come to this region too, and the big falls I think will be all along this coast here, say from even Cape Otway right around to Gabo Island, when, as I said, once that wraps up like this is doing over here at Mount Gambier, you can see Mount Gambier now has got some heavy showers developing along this line in that southeasterly flow. So if you can picture that being here tomorrow, that's just going to pound the coast for like 12 to 24 hours. So there should be no reason we shouldn't get 100 millimetres of rain, as GFS has suggested. Looking also at our rain event that I was talking about through Queensland. This is the 2-week precipitation again that GFS is producing, and again, this is just amazing for this time of year, and also indicative of what I've been saying with this impending La Nina that's coming on. This is called the South Pacific Convergence Zone up here around the Solomons, and it's very active for this time of year and very close to Australia. And you can see in the next week, this is actually separate, most of this rainfall, from what's going on at the moment. This is to develop next week, all this rainfall, and as you can see, we're looking at 8 inches of rain here through the central Queensland coast in the Capricornia region. Again, a very good sign of the moisture increasing. The east coast trough is invigorating, in line with a negative IOD, which is why there's all this rainfall out here, also feeding into the country. You can see down here we're expecting some big fronts in a couple of weeks, probably 7 to 10 days maybe. So again, that's going to interact with all this stuff in the coming weeks. So like I said, I'm expecting a big 4 weeks for Australia. The other thing I wanted to show you also was the water vapour satellite. This is a great tool that I like to use. More so, it just shows you where the actual moisture available is, and you can see clearly from this loop that the low is spiralling right where I've got my cross, which is about here, around Swan Hill it is at the moment. And you can see this trough, these are lightning strikes that have just triggered in the last hour or two, simply because the air is a lot warmer in Queensland than it is in Victoria, but it's the cold air. It is the cold air in the upper layers, the troughs are strong. That east coast trough that I was talking about that's invigorating is activating right now. That's going to produce very heavy rainfall in the next 12 hours right down this eastern seaboard here. And in one way, it's probably good because it's going to bring the rain far south of Sydney, which again should be swept up through Bass Strait and then back over Victoria tomorrow. The other interesting thing to watch is this moisture here that's streaming in from WA with an upper level trough. Again, this is what we have in a negative IOD that I keep talking about. Moisture streaming in from the tropics, As you can see, the plume is going the plume is actually almost being sucked into this system, which is incredible on the jet stream. So there's so much going on and a lot to like about all this, and again indicating a very wet time coming up. Now this particular upper trough that's over Western Australia at the moment is not being analysed well by the models at all. In fact, most of them have got the rainfall out here for tomorrow, which clearly isn't going to happen because it's already in the well into the interior of WA. So this needs to be watched. I'm not too sure the impact that it will have on this low here. I think this low will be the main driver, so it'll probably get sheared above and around in this sort of formation up over into central Queensland. Basically where this where it's going now is basically where I think this may all end up. I'm not too sure whether it can actually dive underneath. I don't think that it can, but it's something to be watched. Again, like I said, the models have not analysed this well at all, so we want to see this in the next 24 hours and how it evolves. But ultimately, it's still going to produce more rainfall for lots of the country, the interior, Queensland, and again down through WA. Here, there's been some good falls in Albany this morning. As you can see, a few lightning strikes now just triggering off up here in the central interior of WA in the Gascoyne. So a lot to like and a lot of activity coming. So we're still looking at a really good system. So last thing I'll take you back to is that radar, of course. We're in a bit of a clear spot at the moment here in Melbourne as the outer band disappears towards Bass Strait. But I think tonight this will all redevelop again, and I think the directional flow will shift. At the moment we're sort of in a northeasterly direction, but I think by tonight we'll start to get into this east-southeasterly shift where all this rain here is going to come down and sit through here and just come back up over us from a better directional point of view for us. And also I have to mention there'll be probably gales developing tomorrow. Just low winds up, it's going to be quite a significant low, so we're looking at a lot of rain and gales and quite a wet day tomorrow, pretty much like I said from Cape Otway right through to the Gippsland coast. So we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll keep you updated on our weather page on Facebook, of course, and avweatherforecast.com is my website. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or contact me on Facebook. I have had someone asking about Antarctica, so I'm going to do a special post on Antarctica in the next few days when I get a chance, so look out for that one. Alright, I'll see you next time.